Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy, and it's my honor to be here with you today, with all these great personalities. And straight away, I will give the floor, first of all, to our minister, Ms. Litrivi, my dearest Ioanna. She's a very active woman and friend, to give us a first introduction for education and training and how we will have roles for women to be in the leader position. So please, Ms. Minister, take the floor.
Perfect. That's it. Thank you very much. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be here today at the Women Economic Forum in Athens. The theme of this year's forum, Women Leading Economic Growth and Sustainable Development, is not just timely, it is essential to our present and our future. As the world navigates complex economic, environmental, and social challenges, we know that sustainable solutions require diverse perspectives and innovative leadership. And women are at the forefront of leading that change. The topic of our session today, education and training, empowering and preparing women for leadership roles, speaks the truth. Education and training are the foundation of empowerment. Education and training hold the key to unlocking the vast potential that women around the world possess. Education is it's much more than transmission and the acquisition of knowledge. It is the cultivation of confidence, the cultivation of resilience and ambition. It provides the tools and skills necessary for women to break through barriers and take their rightful place in leadership, whether in the boardroom, in the classroom, or in policy-making spaces. It is the pathway to greater gender equality, diverse perspectives in decision-making, and ultimately, a more inclusive and sustainable future for all. But what does it truly mean to empower women through education? And how can we ensure that women are prepared to lead it in the rapidly changing world of 21st century? Sorry for this. At its core, empowerment through education means providing women with the skills, the knowledge, and opportunities necessary to realize their potential. It means breaking down the traditional barriers that have kept women out of leadership position, particularly in sectors where they remain underrepresented, such as technology, science, engineering, and finance. It means creating pathways for women to not only participate, but to excel, to lead, and to shape the future of our economies and societies. As Deputy Minister of Education and a political scientist in the field of education and training policies, I have had the privilege to witnessing firsthand the transformative power of education. However, while significant progress has been made, there is still much work to be done. Women continue to face systemic challenges, structural inequalities, gender stereotypes, and limited access to certain opportunities, especially in STEM fields and leadership positions. First, we must ensure that education is accessible to all women, regardless of their socioeconomic background. In too many parts of the world, girls and women still face significant obstacles to accessing education, be it poverty, cultural expectations, or geographical isolation. Ensuring access to education for all women is not only a matter of human rights, but also an economic imperative. According to UNESCO, if every girl completed secondary education, the global poverty rate could be reduced by half. Imagine the impact of millions of empowered women, educated and equipped to lead change in their community and nations. Equally important is ensuring that education is inclusive. We need to create environments where all women feel seen, feel heard, and valued, where their unique perspectives and experiences are acknowledged and celebrated. Diversity must be at the heart of our educational institutions. as it is in diversity that true innovation flourishes. In many countries, however, gender biases still permeate the education system. Girls are often discouraged from pursuing studies in certain fields, particularly in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM disciplines. This does not only limit their future career opportunities, but also deprives the world of the valuable insights that women bring to these industries. To combat this, we must actively promote STEM education for girls and women, while also dismantling the stereotypes that suggest these fields are as male-dominated or male-oriented. In Ministry of Education, Religious Affairs and Sports, we are taking steps to ensure that girls and women have greater access to STEM education by providing scholarships, mentorship programs, and partnerships with industries that are eager to diversify their talent pool. Beyond formal education, we must also embrace reskilling and upskilling techniques, the concept of lifelong learning. The world is changing at an unprecedented pace, and the skills that are in demand today may not be the same tomorrow. Technological achievements, automation, and the green transition will reshape industries and economies over the coming decades. Women must be prepared not only to adapt to these changes, but to lead them. To ensure this, we must offer continuous education and training opportunities, particularly for women who are re-entering the workforce after a career break or transitioning to new fields. As I conclude, let me stress this out once more. The empowerment of women is not just a goal. It is the key to our collective future. The challenges that our world faces, climate change, poverty, inequality, cannot be solved without the full participation and leadership of women. And it is education that will empower women to meet these challenges head-on. In the Ministry of Education, Religious Affairs and Sports, we are committed to building an education system that empowers women to lead, innovate, and create sustainable futures. We will continue to invest in programs that equip women with the skills and confidence to break through barriers and take their rightful place as leaders in every sector of society. But this is not the work of one country or one government alone. It requires global cooperation, shared knowledge, and a collective commitment to gender equality. Events like this that we are attending to today, like the Women Economic Forum, provide a vital platform of us to exchange ideas, share best practices, and strengthen our resolve. Together, we can build a future where women are empowered not just to participate in the global economy, but to shape it, where they lead with vision, with courage, and with purpose. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ms. Minister, for your inspiring speech. And we have a very interesting and exceptional personalities with us today. It's really crucial to ask. Okay, so we have a small break. We will give an award to Ms. Litrivi. Our minister has to go to the parliament, so she has to take this. Yes, please. So let's go on with an excellent panel that we have with us and personalities that were going to inform us, to tell us some of their experience of what we say breaking the glass ceiling. And this is something that we need to talk a lot about. And as a professor also, we know that it's not so easy. We started with Miss Maria Cuccellini, a professor, is not here with us, and we have her contribution. So we'll start. Miss Cuccellini is Professor Emeritus of Department of Education Science at the University of Cyprus and President of the Cyprus Agency for Quality Assurance and Accreditation in Higher Education. So we're ready to hearing her contribution.
It is my pleasure to participate in the forum, thanks to Professor Moropoulou. Unfortunately, due to unpredictable difficulties, it is not possible to participate in person and to meet the exceptional colleagues and decision makers. I hope I do it in another occasion. The aim of the presentation is twofold. Firstly, to explore difficulties of equality in leadership and to search for a key level for addressing leadership with a gender perspective. The issue of equality in leadership is repeated for years, indicating the difficulty of change due to multidimensional aspects of inequality, which reappear with a new face. The concept of equality, as an eminently socioeconomic and educational concept, changes along with the conditions prevailing in these fields. Thus, searching today, in the era of artificial intelligence, to answer the question of how we can address leadership with a gender perspective, we must consider key issues of society that predefine gender inequality. Uncovering inequalities can provide orientation to develop equal opportunities for women's persisting underrepresentation in leading positions across sectors. Firstly, I would like to highlight the effects of the interlocking system of crises in the female rights and present in the society. The interconnected system of an ongoing crisis, for example, economic, environmental, political, educational, have been intensified through temporary wars and conflicts, climate change, pandemics, and a deep dispute of the international institutions for the protection of human rights, along with the helpless and rather incapable political leadership today to face the situation. Under this scene, women's leadership is becoming an increasingly demanding task. As Mayevich points out, it does not matter what kind of powers history produces. In contrary, what matters is the naturalization of male's power through history, and that the advantage of power has a male face regardless of whether the women's position and the modes of subordination are differentiated or changed. Factors and barriers to women leadership across sectors, we should admit that becoming a leader involves much more than being put in a leadership role. It involves policies and practices that communicate a gap between how women are seen and the qualities and experiences people tend to associate with leaders. People usually is modeling leadership on male characteristics, and in final analysis, norms shape the way of leaders should behave. Known Judith Butler speaks about gender performativity. She says that gender is a constructed identity, a performative accomplishment which the modern social audience, including the actors themselves, come to believe and perform in the model of belief. The cartoon here is more than elegant. The girl is seeking for a job, and the male director says, "Sorry, you are simply not the right man for the job." The concept of gender must be changed and admit variations that are not fitted into norms. The cartoon shows a woman here holding a child's hand standing on a sidewalk at the entrance to a building. The entrance is shaped like a male silhouette. The qualities of a leader, as well as the pathways to achieve leadership roles, are still largely based on a dated male model. Norms, stereotypes, and male model in leadership leave women in the shadow. Glass ceiling remain unbroken. Insensible gender biases are the great barrier to women's career advancement. How can we trouble the limits? Thinking gender differently is a liberatory action that troubles the limits of gender and benefits women in leadership. Gender is not a constant, stable, pre-given concept, but on the contrary, it is permanently constructed and reconstructed. Can we resist subjectification of women? Intersectionality has been defined as the situation of traits which, when added, increase the negative effects on the social and political position of women and men, and in general, those who are most oppressed in the society. I reverse the meaning and the effects of intersectionality in this slide, aiming at introducing factors and situations that, when added, will enhance women's power and women in leadership. Men are not less educated than men, but men possess the leadership positions, as She Figure 2021 shows, at least at the university level, indicated that only 14% of rectors in 46 European universities were women. Women should avoid design segregation as well in education in male and female sectors, which is a construction based on preferences and not on abilities. They also need to study gender, its performativity, and its social construction in order to get self-awareness and to demand for leadership positions. Quotas. Ensuring gender balance through the introduction of gender quotas. The European Institute for Gender Equality defines a gender quota as a positive measurement instrument that establishes a defined proportion, percentage, or number of places to be filled by or allocated to women and or men generally under certain rules or criteria. Very important factor for women in leadership is the representational intersectionality, which advocates for the creation of imagery that is supporting of women in leadership roles. Representational intersectionality means supporting women in leadership positions in media representation. As it is well known, gender is a system of power, in that it privileges some men and disadvantages most women. The media representation multiplies the negative or positive results on males and females. Resisting oppression. Speaking from a critical standpoint, Collins points out that domination always involves the objectification of the dominated. All forms of oppression imply the devaluation of the subjectivity of the oppressed. Self-valuation and self-definition are two ways of resisting oppression and claims the practice of self-awareness helps to preserve the self-esteem of the group that is being oppressed, while allowing, at the same time, to avoid any dehumanizing outside influence. Finally, we must speak about networking. Women research found that women have been less frequent networkers than men. They tend to be reluctant to mix business and pleasure, but we know very well, according to the research in the field, that the big men decisions are taken in a free time when the one asks for the support of the other. Women research indicates that women are less likely to use their range in personal connections for professional advancement. Thus, for finding more women in leadership positions, my advice is to point out the factors that can support their advancement and also to help women to get self-awareness. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, so we go on now. I'm going through, and we have the Dean of the School of Rural and Surveying Engineer, Geoinformation Engineering at NTU, at the Polytechnio, Metrovio Polytechnio, Ms. Tsakiri Maria. Please take the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As our colleague said here, my name is Maria Tsakiri. I'm professor at the School of Rural Surveying and Geoinformatics Engineering, and I recently started my role as a dean of the school. It's a pleasure to come here, to be here with you. I'd like to share some experiences from my university and also some experiences from abroad, just to show the differences that exist between different academic environments. And I think our previous speakers said that university is the pool of the next leaders. So we really have to put a lot of effort on that environment. So let's begin this important trip from trying to cultivate the leadership from our female students to our staff members. As I am a technical person, I'd like to show you some statistics about what's happening in my university. Here you can see the number of staff, academics. You can see that the majority is male. The blue pillars are male. The lower numbers are in departments like naval engineering. There is only one female staff member. In mechanical engineering, there are single numbers. Architecture, as you expect, there are higher numbers. Chemical engineering, they've got few more women. Surveying engineering, where I come from, and then after that we see a big drop. And this is a problem, okay? I mean, how we're going to expect leadership positions from women that don't exist, okay? So we have to do something about that. Just to also show you some numbers again, from female academics is the graph below. Very few are professors, okay? There are associate professors, there are assistant professors, a couple of lectures because of the previous law. So again, we have some discrepancies on that, okay? What is happening and what do we do wrong here? Some more numbers again in female leadership in NTUA. There are 4 deans currently in 4 schools, so it's not so bad. It's about 50%. We are 9 schools at the university, so it's not so bad there. There is none in the chancellor, no chancellor or vice chancellor at the moment. Only Professor Moropoulou was the first and only vice chancellor at our university, and we congratulate her for that. And ever since, we haven't had any. So no women chancellor, this is something we have to keep in mind. None in the governing council. Okay, this is again a problem. Why? What is happening? And we don't have any women in the governing council of NTUA, the largest technical university of Greece. NTUA has started having a gender equity committee. There are very slow steps on that avenue, but still there is a lot of road to go forward. In my school, let's see some numbers again, because this is quite important. The pool of females, if it's not adequate, we don't expect to have also staff females, okay? So you can see for the last 3 years, male students over-represent the student body. The female students are pretty much equal the last 3 years. It's quite interesting to see, though, that in postgraduate level, female students are slightly higher than males. But when it comes into PhDs, again, the females drop. Why is happening? Why is that? Do they prefer to go for jobs? Is it the age where they start thinking about family commitment? What is happening? I mean, I'm a technical person, I cannot really translate that, I need your help from social sciences to explore on this. But this is what I'm referring to. So, yeah, based on the previous graphs, we can see that there's a disparity. The disparity starts early. Okay, we don't have enough female students entering the university. This is the problem. Okay, and that limits the pipeline of women that will go into the advanced courses afterwards. Now, the doctoral programs really show a wider gap. This is concerning, okay, because the future of the female leaderships is in that area, the doctoral programs. So why we don't have so many? Nowadays, we have grants, we have scholarships. I wouldn't say that this is lacking, okay? In the previous years, there was a problem, sure, but not anymore. There are opportunities for female students to pursue doctoral studies. Okay, the other problems perhaps is that they are quite long. You know, you require 4 to 6 years at least to complete a PhD program. So this is something that perhaps it is a worrying about women. Senior academic positions, again, like chancellors, vice chancellors, as I said, are predominantly held by men. This is and this is a problem, okay, because women, we cannot shape institutional policy. This is very important, okay? We leave the men to form the culture of the university, and we have to do something about that, okay? Forgive me, but I'm talking about a technical university. Perhaps in other universities that there are more women in literature or in other studies, but I would say that pretty much this is the problem in Greece, okay? So, what are the barriers for female leadership in academia? Rarely, Greece offers these mentorship programs in academia that we heard before in the previous panel. It's a key point, mentorship, okay? Let's face it. This will enhance leadership skills. Gender biases are also, and cultural expectations, okay? The problem is that there is a perception that men are better suited for leadership. Why is that? Okay, they've got perhaps more time. Well, they shouldn't have more time. They are equally responsible for their family issues. Okay, this is a problem. Okay, so yes, cultural expectations put a pressure into women to prioritize family responsibilities, and it shouldn't happen that. Okay, and I'll show you some examples later on. Challenges in balancing these work-life responsibilities, okay? Yes, women, we can feel the burnout of that. I've got 2 boys, teenagers, I've got a husband, I have to feed them, they expect me to be at home when they come back from school. There is a burnout, yes, I have to sacrifice a few things for my career. For example, I wasn't going on conferences till they were 12 years old, my boys, okay, because I felt guilty, but I shouldn't have felt guilty on that. Okay, but this is what I was brought up with, this culture that women are responsible for their families. Yes, of course. I'll show you some successful approaches on female academic empowerment. I just chose some good examples. Scandinavia is a very good example that they offer these facilities to female leadership in academia. For example, in Sweden, they offer pairs, early career female researchers to pair up with a professor. So this program helps to build their confidence, they do a valuable network, they give opportunities for advancements. There are some also work-life balance policies. In Norway, for example, they have these family strategies, and they allow both parents to take leave to bring up their children. This is very important. Okay, here in Greece, we say either the man or the woman, but children need both the parents, okay, not one at a time. This is very important key. And leadership training, okay, in universities, for example, in Denmark, they focus on confidence and building these essential skills. It might be soft skills, but they're essential for females to feel confident and go up and talk like we are here, okay, this is very important. Or negotiate. it's very important to start to build up these negotiation skills, conflict resolution. There are various soft skills that we have to talk about. Australia, this is another very good example. I spent a few years in Australia. I'm a product of positive discrimination. Yes, if I wasn't positively discriminated in Australia, I wouldn't be a dean today in Greece. This is something that I have to talk about that. Because many Australian universities put a quota and they say that for example, Sydney University, they say that 40% of female representation is important in the leadership position, okay? It may sound, I don't know, strange to men, but this is the way we have to go, okay? And then the culture is building up slowly before we start getting accepted in equal terms. This is the thing. University of Queensland, for example, they reduce barriers and therefore they try to exclude prejudices and stereotypes. This is called unconscious bias, by the way. And perhaps social scientists can talk about that more. Sorry about that. Oops, I didn't want that. Sorry. Where was I? Yeah, okay. Visibility and role models. Australia is very good at that. They use very key roles staff, and they give presentations everywhere in academia, okay? And they inspire female students. This is something that perhaps we can use in Greek universities. And finally, funding and research opportunities. There are dedicated grants for women. Okay. For example, in Melbourne or Australian Research Council, they use dedicated funding tailored for women research to promote their research. Because, let's face it, women have got more difficulties. They have to go back at home to get a family ongoing on that. So there is some tailoring on that. And perhaps these are some paradigms that we can use nicely in Greece. So I can see two types of trying to promote the development for leadership here. One, to focus on the early development, on our female students, and then to develop the competencies to the existing staff members in the universities. For example, many panelists said that about mentorship, okay? We need to get paradigms from other universities, from abroad, to build confidence and receive personalized advice. We started doing that in our school, not successfully yet, I have to say, but there are few and more step by step, that's true. Now, skill development workshops, okay, as I said before, we have to help our female students build a strong skill set that will prepare them for future leadership roles. And how can we do that? Perhaps one way is to let them engaged in extracurriculum clubs and activities in the university, within the university. Okay, even if it's a society, even if it's a student club, something like that, where they can get experience, they can talk publicly, they can build a network of peers and mentors. Coming to our staff members, okay, we have to build them confidence. They have to feel that they can be equally well in leadership positions. And I'll tell you an example which really made my day when I heard it. One colleague of mine, female, not male, she told me, how do you feel with your new role as a dean? Are you nervous? Are you afraid? I said, no, I'm not. And men were very, very more positive about this. Okay, this is something that us women, we say to other women, well, you're not afraid. She actually told me, are you taking pills? Because I said, you know, I'm not nervous or anything. I said, no, I run every day 10 kilometers. Every night, every evening, that's my pill. I run 10 kilometers. This is what I feel. Okay, so, and just to wrap up very quickly, some extracurriculum leadership roles we need to try and promote and build a network of peers and mentors to our staff members. So creating an institutional support is very important in academia. We need to have structured pathways for women to progress in their careers. In Greece, we have a structured pathway in the terms that a Greek staff member and academic knows that, yes, he will apply for the next position and so on, but we don't have access to any mentoring, any training, okay? This is something that, an opportunity for professional development, this is something that is lacking, and many colleagues here, they've mentioned that. We have to try and implement family-oriented policies. I think this is childcare support. Us, the biggest technical university in Greece, they don't have any child care support, okay? We cannot leave our children anywhere. Maybe in summer we have a bit of a camp, but I think it's so bad organized that I wouldn't leave my child there, I have to say that. Regular gender audits, this is something that is quite interesting, okay? We have to achieve gender equity, identify areas of improvement, and try and to have an inclusive culture. This is something that we need to address. And just to wrap up, yes, empowering female students and academics is not fairness only. We heard that. It's not fairness. It's bringing fresh ideas. It's bringing excellence to our institution. So we have to fight for that, okay? Women should have the same opportunity to succeed in academia. It's not happening yet, I think, in my area. So just to close here is empowerment through action is not just a goal for the future. It's something that we all need to work for a better and fairer academic community for everyone. Thank you very much for your attention.
So, Ms. Tsakiri, I think that many times I feel the same with you and many of our colleagues here, women, this guilty when we leave for a conference, this guilty that we have inside that never my husband has. No one asked him, why are you leaving and go there? For me, it was the first question. And what about your boy? Who will keep it? How we can manage? But not my husband. So, okay. Thank you for your contribution. Now we have Ms. Christiana Pirasmaki, MBA Communication and Corporate Relation Consultant, Certified Adult Education, Vice President of the EcoCity Board. Please, take the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Been here since this morning. Comes to me a few ideas and few memories of some decades before, 3, if I remember well. There was a very good friend and colleague of mine. When she was awarded as a marketing director and public relations director in Austrian Airlines, she was very happy. She went to the mother, announcing it. The mother was astonished. She was very happy also. And she asked, very good, my girl, but how happened? They didn't have any available men for this job? So that was happening 30 years ago. I'm happy that this is not happening to that extent still now, because at least now we are talking about it. We are conferencing about it, and we are dealing with it. I would like to give, in this exceptional audience, an example of what we do in EcoCity. EcoCity is a non-profit organization. How I push this here? Yeah. No? I have 2 left hands in technology, as you realize.
Okay.
Fine. Με το μεγάλο. Excellent. So, EcoCity is a no-profit organization, operates on a voluntary basis on national and international level, and focuses mainly on an urban environment. It was founded in Athens back in 2004, and actually keeps all his actions around, as I said, national and European level. What is important to that is that we run programs that they have the structure of a campaign. We don't deal with once-off issues or activities. We need to have a continuity and consistency on this. So one of these programs is the program of ecomobility, which has also the support of our members. We are members of 5 international networks, and we also run programs in Greece and under a European finance support, but still we always, in non-profit organizations, we need support for funding in order to explore what we do. I think that by the end of this presentation, I will try to keep it minimized and as much as consistent as possible. You will realize that there is a very optimistic message. In the program of ecomobility, we call it ecomobility, as the word says, is the sustainable mobility issues that we face in urban environments, but we need to look after their environmental trace, περιβαλλοντικό αποτύπωμα, as we say. So actually this is designed for the 3rd grade of gymnasiums, and it runs since 2004. We are 20 years on the field, and this program is awarded by the Ministry of Education. What we actually cultivate in this program are the personal and professional, the future professional skills that the participants develop. As a matter of fact, leaders of today's are the master who balance in between the conditions, the external conditions, and the turbulent environment. This is very, very much experienced by students of today. So what we actually try to do is to cultivate and develop educational and environmental values, volunteerism, so that is why the participation is on a voluntary basis, and also to show them that if they lead the change, they can bring multiple benefits to the society. As a matter of fact, this program is reaching the 7 out of the 17 SDGs of the UN. It's quite impressive that the climate change, the cities, the urban way of living, equality, the right for the education, and some others are really not only reached, but dealing with in this program. Throughout the 20 years, we had more than 4,000 students working on it, more than 350 cities or schools participating, and more than 40,000 citizens getting involved, and school societies getting involved in that. It's very important, I think that, thanks Mema Zapadi, who was preparing this presentation for me, but I was not familiar with the effects she put in it. So we tried to bring in attention what was happening and what is happening in these groups of students and their teachers that they are participating in this program. As I said, the program is voluntary. So we are dealing with students also, which are 14 to 15 years old, and the age of their schoolmasters or teachers are in between the 25 to 40 years old mainly. We had a decline after COVID era, and we tried to look after the data that we had available, pre and post. So 3 years pre and 3 years after COVID time, we see that the numbers of the participation, ladies who are participating, girls, young girls who are participating in this program, they reach almost 70%. I mean, the groups of 8 persons that they are, in these groups that they are working, 80% are girls. We have groups that they are only girls among all schools. The same thing is happening for their teachers. No matter 70% is coming, and sometimes more than that, is coming for their teachers. Although after COVID era, the total number of participation was declining. We still try to enhance that, but this glass teaching room, the glass teaching room, you know, it had an effect. So we try to bring them back in the experience and the everyday work. So even that the numbers were declining, we have half almost of participation, still the proportions are the same. Please take a moment to glance on that. We know that men have a different mindset, that they are different than women. Of course, women are different than men. How different could be? No. This is how the total is formulating. But the women, the way women are thinking, the way women are acting is multi-complex, is multi-different, is multilateral, is put next to it no word you want, any word you want, you're going to make it. So what we actually need to focus is on the quality, how the view, how the others, how the society, how the groups, how the family is looking after the girls, the women. So equality is what we need in the perception of the society mainly, not the parity. Knowledge and skills, which actually are coming from a comobility in the groups that they are working in, is a strategic mindset. They develop strategic mindset, and this is done because they are assessed how they reach the excellency. Sustainability and resilience of the work is there because they are judged by the local authorities how these proposals, they need to change their city, and what they propose, how this is perceived. So they create public dialogues with the local authorities, and they have to persuade them that this work and this proposal is there for good, and it's realistic. Team building, of course, in order to come to an end, to present something that all together they have built up, they have to give time and they have to give space to their colleagues to their co-students. So they are trained for more than 3 or 4 months. They are working on it, and they are getting these new skills, but actually they are not getting it in the normal educational style or the formal educational style that we run. And this team building is also an assessment criteria because at the end, this is a contest. Sorry, I forgot to say. I mean, ecomobility is a contest, as a matter of fact. And what we bring as an end, they are struggling to go in Brussels because there is a European MP that is inviting them, the excellent team that is giving the best work out of what they're looking after. They're getting this as a prize. So also networking and communication and interaction with the local society is something that they have to deal with. Ecomobility participants, they really bring a change. They lead a change in their city. They are young students, 14, 15 years old, mainly girls, that they stand up after 4 months of work, and they give a presentation of their proposals, how their city they love to look like. And they create a dialogue, and they have questions and answers from representatives of the city, of the local society, and of the authorities. And sometimes they argue with them. And they are so nice to see them, to look at them, that they are there, standing up and fighting for what they want. In a few years, most of them, we met them as elected members in the city's councils. And a little bit, a few years after, we met them in other leading positions. So if we really need to do something, we have to support the earliest ages, the earliest times in our educational methodologies. And to give you an example, these are a few cities in Greece that they have transformed their, the way the citizens live. I mean, they create pedestrians, they reform the center of the city, they keep the cars out of the center of the city, and they bring changes, they bring cycle paths in the center of the city, etc. And these have become a reality because the students of ecomobility asked for and worked for it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And please think that all these changes and leadership starts from earlier, not from university styles, which is very, very important to be there and get the educational tools and get everything that we need from education, but the skills and the eagerness and the will starts from before that. Thank you.
So, thank you so much. And now I will give the floor to Ms. Dimitra Jourmakleotou, the President to the Board of Direction of Heraklion International Airport, Crete, Associate Professor at the Democritus University of Thrace. Please.
Good afternoon. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in a world where gender equality is still a work in progress, breaking barriers and empowering women to take the lead is more important than ever. The next generation of women leaders holds tremendous potential for driving change and shaping a future where equality and diversity are at the forefront of decision-making. today's world is facing numerous fundamental changes, is transforming and accelerating under the impetus of greater urbanization and mobility, growing demand for energy, water, and food, increasing production, and the need for new technologies to improve people's work and life. The issues we confront will only get bigger. Therefore, we cannot afford to leave half our resources, half our talent, and half our ideas untapped. Our future depends on a fundamentally different worldview. The values, voices, and contribution of women can make a world of difference. The fourth Sustainable Development Goal considers education to be a priority for sustainable development, driving inclusive and equitable opportunity for all. In this sense, education plays a critical role in assuring gender equality, particularly to help women attain managerial and leadership positions. Moreover, the European Commission considers gender equality to be one of the fundamental values of the European Union and promoting active policies to maximize female talent and achieve full participation and equal opportunities for leadership positions at all levels of political and economic decision-making for women. Several studies have shown that closing the gender gap could double global growth and boost GDP by over 20%. Education plays a fundamental role in the empowerment of women. It serves as a catalyst for personal, social, and economic development, enabling women to challenge gender norms, assert their rights, and actively participate in various spheres of life. It brings productivity, efficiency, and better socioeconomic development. Education is central to the process of empowerment. Education in the context of environment is a weapon of great potency as it provides exposure and access to new ideas and way of thinking and trigger a demand for change. In the absence of education that is relevant to existing knowledge and real needs, women are unable to get access to formal sector jobs, make career advancement, participate in decision-making at all levels, and be represented in government and gain political influence. Educated women are better equipped to extract the most benefits from available services and existing opportunities and to create alternative opportunities, roles, and support structures. Education increases women's awareness and leads to their overall development, thereby helping the nation to prosper. It brings greater social mobility, which is capable of bringing an inclusive growth. The process of education helps women to conduct their lives in line with their social transformation. It enables women to increase power to act. It also helps in promoting a critical understanding of the environment. It strengthens its resilience to adversity without pondering over its setbacks. Education plays a crucial role in fostering women's leadership by providing them with the knowledge, skills, tools, capabilities, and confidence they need to succeed. By promoting gender equality in education and encouraging girls to pursue subjects traditionally dominated by men, we can break down stereotypes and empower young women to pursue leadership roles in any field they choose. A strong commitment to developing leadership education for women could create a crucial scenario to break down the current barriers females face in obtaining management positions. On the other hand, training can empower women to become more visible, gain confidence, to voice their opinion, speak up more often, share their ideas, and ask for more opportunities, more responsibilities, and challenging assignments. With training, women can be inspired to think bigger, become more assertive, bolder, reject biases, and press on. The training can change their approach to apply for senior positions by equipping them with the employability skills that strengthen their competitiveness. While women's lack of training in leadership abilities, skills, tools, and self-esteem creates barriers for females to gain leadership positions. Empowering the next generation of women leaders is not just a goal, it is a necessity for building a more inclusive and equitable society. By breaking down barriers and providing women with the tools and opportunities and support they need, we can create a future where women's voices are not only heard, but valued and respected. When women are in position of power, they can influence policies and practices that promote gender equality and create more opportunities for the other women to succeed. This ripple effect can have a profound impact on future generations, breaking the cycle of inequality and paving the way for a more equal society. However, leadership empowerment for women or achieving gender equality in leadership will require continued efforts from individuals, organizations, and society as a whole. It is crucial to challenge gender biases, create inclusive and diverse workplaces, and provide mentorship and networking opportunities for aspiring women leaders. In conclusion, female stereotypes, along with the lack of self-confidence in applying for leadership positions and the non-existence of specific training on leadership, require concrete action within public administration, places of employment, academic institutions, and with women themselves. Action supported in education could create females' own capital, result in promotion, and help them communicate their values for their organization, for their family, and for the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have so interesting contributions with so many ideas, so we need days to discuss about this, but we need to go on now. I will give the floor to Ms. Stella Kokkolis, teacher, if I say the right name, teacher of high school and college, founder and co-founder of many Greece, American, and national organizations. Please take the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to write history. History of explaining the achievements of women in civilized world. And I'm very impressed and honored that we have so many speakers from all over the world to talk about the leadership values, education, success. As an educator, I'm always critical, and sometimes I want something else, more. This is education. I want to see what the education of women, of those great speakers, can do to really educate the less fortunate, the women who live in a different world. They have values, but they deprived from the opportunity, the ability, and of education to break the glass ceiling and to become in a modern society. It's a pity. It's really sadness. All of us should join hands, starting with the Αρχόντισσα, βασίλισσα της Διασποράς, την κυρία Σοφιανού, μαζί με όλο το group. with her group and with Dr. Chrysoulakis, who visited women around the world in 5 years, representing Greece, what it's all about, the Greek government. Today, with all these beautiful, educated leaders of women of the world, take a branch of olive tree and join hands to civilize the world, all the world, not as civilized and the Western, some other really beautiful as the world of India, beautiful culture. And education is very valuable there, and they do educate. But go to other countries of the world and see what's going on. You will feel sorry. It was really a pleasure to be in this beautiful gathering today. I left Greece, my beautiful country, the homeland. I was born in a beautiful island of Andros. I migrated to Athens when I was very young because the distances at the time were big. Today, in 2 hours from Athens, I go to Andros. Those days, I had to leave Andros at night to go to Athens the next day. What do I mean by that? I'm very happy, very honored to live today in another Greece, and in a modern Greece, civilized Greece. But of course, the Greek civilization derived from a magnet, from a civilization that taught the world at the time, today, in the future, and furthermore. We educated the world at the time, especially if you look at the history, even the Western world. It's a very, very big honor after so many years to come in front to a forum that it was unknown during my time. The women were not depressed. They were not civilized, but they had different norms for the society. The women should stay home during my time. Only in education they were successful. Who could imagine, especially my mother's years, or my mother maybe because she came from another country, she was Greek. My grandmother, who came from Egypt, she came and she was a teacher. Well, she came to Greece as a teacher. She was considered modern, very modern, εξελιγμένη. Σήμερα είμαστε όλοι εξελιγμένοι. Where to start? I don't know where to start because I'm so honored, so impressed that Greece is part of the world today, is one. If I come to Greece today after 59 years, it's not different from great country of America. It's the same. Exactly the same. The markets, the supermarkets, who knew at my time? But anyway, this is how world is and should be. Another thing that I would like to criticize a little bit, as an educator for 59 years, I still teach, although my age really doesn't see many of my age to teach. I go and I teach the students, the new teachers, to really be fortified from the classical education. I would like to share these thoughts with you. And of course, being Greek and believing in the aspects of education, the usefulness of the Hellenic cultural education, philosophical education, I would like to quote some sayings, some names that really gave opening to the new world of education. From their work, many, many years ago, they gave effort to educate the world through our own education, the classical education. If we remember in history, many women broke the glass ceiling in the ancient Greece. We had deities, women deities, they were worshipping the deities. That was a form of accepting the woman. Today, we have really progress in every sector of life. We have astronomers. If we go back in ancient Greece, Sappho, Aspasia of Miletus, philosophers. Η Ασπασία είναι πολύ γνωστή που ήταν δίπλα από τον Περικλή, and they say that offer the knowledge and the help for the democracy. Ασπασία ήταν ετέρα, αλλά έδειξε στις γυναίκες της εποχής αυτής, to the women of the time, that were not less than the masculine race. We are equal, if not better, because the sense, the ability της γυναίκας είναι λιγάκι πιο μεγάλη και από τον άντρα ακόμα. Και όπως λένε, πες μου σε αυτόν τον successful άντρα ποια είναι δίπλα, είναι γυναίκα δίπλα. Ας τα πιστεύουμε αυτά και ας πιέζουν πολλές φορές τη δύναμη και την αξία της γυναίκας. In the 5th century, λοιπόν, the women escaped from the limitations of ignorance thanks to the education. Of course, education is the meaning, is the power for creating civilized societies, modern societies, if we say today. Often όμως είναι restricted from that opportunity, as I said before. And only the education can bring them to the point, to the ability to compete and to go beyond. If you want, many centuries later from the time I was talking, η Καλλιόπη Παρέν ήταν an educator, publisher, journalist, and έδωσε the first movement of feminists in this country and in Europe. She laid the foundations for many future women's rights, though her newspaper, Εφημερίδα των Κυριών, Journal of Ladies, which she launched March 8, 1877, and lasted for 30 years, she empowered many, many generations of women through her writings, as well as through her teaching at the various schools she established the Sunday School of Poor Women and Girls in 1890, the Asylum of St. Catherine in 1895, and the Asylum of the Infirm, 1896, the Patriotic Association, and the Union in Favor of Women's Liberation, while after a conference in Paris in 1896, the Union of Greek Women was established under the parents' presidency. Thanks to her tireless efforts, Kalliope Parén kept fostering women to intellectually engaged in the common affairs, doing away from materialistic pursuits, teaching arete, virtue, follow her passions for preservation of Greek customs and traditions. She created the Lyceum of Greek Women in 1911, which began during the Balkan War to record, teach, and present traditional Greek dances, while her school's work and actions are known as this day, having many members in Greece and abroad. Today, we must look back to this example of women to understand how education can uplift women, allowing them to reclaim their rightful place in society. Let us draw lessons from the Hellenic ideals that inspired all these women. Parrhesia, freedom of speech, democracy, the power of the people, arete, virtue, paradosi, tradition, intellectual curiosity, and creativity. Just some of the Hellenic ideals guided our predecessors that will guide many generations to come. These ideals could enormously benefit implemented in some parts of the globe where women, as I was saying before, are still subject to severe limitations. Let's join together, remembering the Hellenic ideals from our culture that we can use as basic elements structuring a different kind of education to educate the world, to educate the women in the world that they are less fortunate. Ας θυμηθούμε τις αξίες της ελληνικές, την παιδεία. Ποια είναι η Ελλάδα? Η Ελλάδα είναι η πηγή του φωτός, η πηγή της ελευθερίας, της ισότητος, η πηγή των ιδεών, των φιλοσόφων, η βάση της δημοκρατίας, η βάση της ελευθερίας των λαών, η ελληνική γλώσσα, η γλώσσα των αγγέλων που πραγματικά βοηθάει να μορφώσει τον κόσμο. Ας κλείσουμε μέσα μας την Ολυμπιακή ιδέα του ωραίου, του μεγάλου και του αληθινού. Ας κλείσουμε μέσα μας την Ελλάδα, αυτή την Ελλάδα που ζήλεψε όλος ο κόσμος και μορφώνεται πάνω στις αξίες τις ελληνικές. Ας ενώσουμε σήμερα τα χέρια με κλάδους ελιάς που σημαίνει νίκη, σημαίνει αποφασιστικότητα, σημαίνει μέλλον. Ας ευχηθούμε ότι θα γίνει αυτό και όλες εδώ οι leaders της οικουμένης, the leaders of universe, to help do their work. Ζήτω η Ελλάδα μας. Ζήτω ο πολιτισμός μας. Ζήτω η κυρία Σοφιανού που ανοίγει το δρόμο και ο κύριος Χρυσουλάκης που μας ακολουθεί. Ζήτω, σας αγαπώ όλους.
Thank you so much. Because we have to respect the time, I'm going further. Ms. Silvana Chrysakopoulou, Associate Professor of the Department of Philology at the Faculty of Philosophy at the University of Ioannina. Please. Oh, you are already here. Please. Running, yeah?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm very honored to... could you please project the painting I told you? Yes, thank you. I'm very honored to be here among you, and especially among these grand dames, and especially Professor Moropoulou, who happens to be a chancellor in our university, and not only in the University of the Polytechnic School. So and it is thanks to her that I can give this talk. And I do not mean by that only thanks to the fact that she is a chancellor in our university, but it is thanks to her that 50 years ago, thanks to her heralding, literally heralding democracy at the Polytechnic School of Athens, that democracy was restituted. And we owe her a big thanks. I'm not only honored, I am moved. And I shiver now that I'm telling you that. I come from Athens. I teach in Ioannina, close to the Oracle of Dodona, in Epirus, where Olympias, the mother of Alexander the Great, was born. But I will now talk about another woman of the most important Greek, according to all standards, Socrates, the most important in the literary sense of the word. And I will describe him as his mother's son. Behind a great man stands an even greater woman, to rephrase the well-known proverb, which would certainly stand for Socrates, according to his own report in Plato's Theaetetus, when the young mathematician falls into a state of aporia, a state which is later described like the beginning of philosophy. At this point of complete intellectual despair, when the ingenious youth collapses under the spell of Socrates' Elenchus, Socrates exclaims to him, "Don't worry, my son, you're pregnant." To which paradoxical statement he then adds, "Have you then not heard that I am the son of a noble and burly midwife, Fenarete? I possess this art. Just take into consideration the whole business of the midwives, and you will understand more easily what I mean. For you know, I suppose, that no one of them attends other women while she is still capable of conceiving and bearing, but only those who have become too old to bear. This is exactly what priestess Diotima instructs to Socrates in the most celebrated Platonic dialogue, namely the Symposium, when she posits pregnancy as a general human state, not only in the body, but also in the soul. I quote, "All humans are pregnant, Socrates, both in body and in soul. On reaching a certain age, our nature yearns to beget. However, had it not been for the celebrated passage in the Theaetetus about Socrates' Maieutic, where he presents himself to the young mathematician as a midwife for youths, there would be no direct way to follow this leap of syllogism in the Symposium. In both Platonic dialogues, begetting or not begetting, either in the body or in the soul, is relevant to the right age, and surprisingly enough, not to the right sex. Socrates' mother, as a midwife, is incapable of bearing children anymore, and thus she is in a position to perform the profession of the midwife. Theaetetus in the eponymous dialogue, is clearly presented as young Socrates in the symposium, and thus in the age of begetting, unlike Socrates, who is like his mother, not only in regard to her profession, but also in regard to her age. That is to say, a middle-aged midwife unable to beget. To change the initial proverb of my talk, we know of two women who have been important for Socrates. Diotima, the priestess from Arcadia, Mantinia, we go to Arcadia as well, not only to Athens and to Dodona, and of course his own mother, the midwife, called Phenarete, that is to say, the one who brings forth virtue or excellency, a term which has always been the goal of all contests born in Hellenic soul, as it is the case with the Olympic Games. Besides, in Socrates' own words, philosophy is nothing but a game, and more particularly, a game where he trains youths, their favorite, so to say, training. However, in Socrates' world, the only way to train youths into philosophy is midwifery, an art and profession that he has inherited from his own mother. Moreover, the same art is supposed to have been practiced by the most important woman in Socratic teaching, namely Diotima. So, in this short talk, I will try to explain this relation between the two feminine figures in Socrates' teaching and midwifery in order to explain, in the end, this very well-known painting to all of you, Botticelli's Primavera, and you will see how they will come together. Many scholars wonder whether Diotima was a real person or a Socratic fiction. However, Socrates gives us a very important biographical detail, namely that she was invited to Athens in order to purify the city from the plague, COVID of the time. Yes, around 440 at the latest, when he was about 30 years old, which corresponds more or less to Agathon's age when he hosted the symposium, this big party in 416, where Socrates presents her as a wise, sage woman in many respects, and more in particular, as his first and only teacher on matters of eros. At first glance, such a statement seems like a clandestine to Socrates' comic agenda, as since the very beginning of the symposium, Socrates presents himself, along with Aristophanes, the comic poet, as a knower in matters of Aphrodite, Venus. However, the lesson Diotima teaches to Socrates does not only consist in placing Eros between gods and men in her capacity as a mediator between them, but more surprisingly in associating Eros to the human condition, so to say, which is supposed to be pregnancy. The age difference between Socrates and Theaetetus in the eponymous dialogue is probably the same as between Socrates and Agathon in the symposium, an age difference which goes back to Socrates' age difference with his mother. However, there is an opposition in appearance between Theaetetus, who is as ugly as Socrates, and that's why he's very sympathetic, and Agathon, who is described as exceptionally beautiful. This tension is resolved at the end of the symposium when the most handsome Athenian, Alcibiades, compares Socrates to small statues of ugly Silenoi one may find in Athens workshops in the Agora. Besides, Socrates' father, Sophroniscus, was a sculptor. Indeed, those same small statues are presented as exceptionally beautiful inside because they contain images of gods, who are by definition most beautiful. In this sense, those ugly statues from outside could be an illustration of the state of pregnancy as they contain images of beauty. This element of high importance in order to understand Socrates' maieutic in respect to what Diotima suggests in her words is that begetting in beauty is the only way to beget, and it is considered to be a divine action. In her own words, this cannot do upon an ugly person, but only on the beautiful. The conjunction of man and woman is a begetting for both. So we use the word tiktein for both men and women, not just for women. Once again, Diotima equalizes both sexes when it comes to pregnancy, but from the women's viewpoint. In the Theaetetus, Socrates establishes another clear distinction between youths, and this is very important for the way we educate them. The ones who consider themselves pregnant while they are not, and the others, like Theaetetus, who are indeed pregnant but fail to realize it before being diagnosed by Socrates. In the same context, Socrates also declares that his daimonion does not let him accept youths who are not really pregnant, as there is nothing to deliver, while in the Symposium, Diotima's definition of Eros as a demon in between gods and men can only be performed by a daimonious person, a direct reference to Socrates and probably to his daimonion, thanks to whom he proved to be capable in matters of Eros, deinos ta erotica. Similarly, when Socrates describes the midwife's profession in the Theaetetus, he claims that only midwives can tell a successful pregnancy from a pregnancy which is doomed to fail, and in the second case, they use drugs and incantations in order to cause abortion. Those practices are no other than those used by Diotima in order to prevent the plague from infecting the body of the city. To conclude, Diotima in the Symposium is presented by Socrates as a sage woman, sage femme, in the most literal sense of the word, a midwife who brings to light true knowledge, as Socrates does in the Theaetetus in respect to the eponymous youth. However, in order to bring to light the offspring of truth, Socrates has to get rid of what is unsustainable and unnecessary. This can only be performed in his capacity as a mediator, a midwife, a mea, as we say in Greek. Mea also being the name of Hermes' mother. There he is, Hermes. Hermes' mother, who was the divine messenger of gods to men. This is why priestess Diotima places herself between men and women, and more importantly, between men and gods, exactly like Eros and Hermes, whom she serves as the demon par excellence between mortals and immortals. Eros' function of mediation between men and gods is performed through the act of begetting, which immortalizes mortals by perpetuating their species. However, right age is not the only prerequisite in order to beget, as Socrates suggests in the Theaetetus digression, but more importantly, beauty. Only in beauty can one receive and beget, while in ugliness, begetting is impossible. Now, what is this beauty about? Socrates in the Theaetetus says that his profession is under the protection of goddess Artemis. They say the cause is Artemis because she, a childless goddess, has had childbirth allotted to her as her special province. Diotima, on the other hand, says that a divine affair, this engendering and bringing to birth, is only presided by the three graces: Fate, the Lady of Travaille, and Beauty. Those are the divinities, companions in childbirth. You see that the Primavera is pregnant in the middle. So they are no others than Artemis's companions, if not Artemis herself, who is called Calliste. This is her most important name, the most beautiful. So, a late Neoplatonic illustration of the constellation described by Plato may be found in this enigmatic Primavera, painting by Botticelli, where the central figure of pregnant Primavera is presided by the three graces, by Hermes, Maia's son, on the one side, who points to heavens, exactly as Plato does in the celebrated painting in the School of Athens by Raffaello, whereas on the other side, the double of Primavera who is supposed to be Aphrodite, we're not sure, carries a crown of flowers next to Orifeia. Orifeia is kidnapped by Boreas. And this is another Platonic myth in another Platonic dialogue, which takes place by the river Ilissos, the Phaedrus, and which is complementary to the symposium. Thank you very much.
So, as a moderator, I have to say that we have about 20 minutes, Ms. Samoili. 20 minutes, yes? Okay. So, I will go on with Ms. Magdalini Krokida, professor of NTUA, board member of KDVIM at the Lifelong Learning Center, Polytechnic. Please take the floor. Thank you.
So I'm Magdalini Krokida. I'm a professor at the National Technical University of Athens. Dear colleagues, dear friends, it's my great pleasure to be here with you today. So I would first wanted to thank Vice President Tonia Moropoulou for inviting me here to this important event. My contribution will be a short talk focusing on the significance of education in enhancing the capabilities of women and help them to develop the necessary skills for playing leadership roles. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, the gender equality has been for long the issue of discussions and arguments in our societies. Although in 2017 the equality of sexes became the 5th among 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, there is still a long way to go. Moreover, the United Nations Population Fund, the Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency of the United Nations states that despite many international agreements affirming their human rights, women are still much more likely than men to be pure and illiterate. They have less access to property ownership, credit, training, and employment. This partly stems from the archaic stereotypes of women being labeled as child bearers and homemakers rather than breadwinners of the family. They are far less likely than men to be politically active and far more likely to be victims of domestic violence, which is latest being a tragic syndrome of our society too. Although many attempts are currently in progress and several programs relevant to gender equality are in progress, both at the national and international scale, it's obvious that women themselves can empowered their position and roles through the education and training. A serious and well-organized involvement of women in these activities may strengthen economies and reduce inequality. It contributes to more stable, resilient societies that gives all the people the opportunity to fulfill their potential. More specifically, the education for leaderships is a concept with increased significance, since the related educational programs can help women to promote their personal and professional development and, moreover, become confident for successful careers in leadership positions. This undoubtedly results in greater gender equality and diverse perspectives in decision-making processes due to the inspiration provided by such achievement, but also by the performance of women managers. The education of leaderships can help a woman to develop their personal plan based on key themes of self-acceptance, self-management, and self-development. It can provide her tools, frameworks, and practices to help her navigate workplace challenges and to further their ability to lead, negotiate, and influence with impact. In addition to appropriate education might give a self-reflective understanding and acceptance of women's unique leadership style and strengths. Finally, it contributes to, in terms of providing the opportunity of joining a huge network of other professionals attempting to drive gender balance in leadership positions. Our role as academic teacher is strongly related to those scopes and objectives, especially in the field of engineering, which is traditionally a domain for men. I have the pleasure to testify that in my lab and my school, women play an important role being in the front of our research activities with excellent performance and often better than that of men. I believe that this unbiased fact is the result of education and practical training assisted by the suitable mentoring followed by the teaching staff of my school. Moreover, we have the pleasure to see our female students to obtain distinguished positions and display a lot of self-confidence and knowledge as they use the tools, resources, and learning from this course of education. It's obvious that this effect is very critical to us, confirming the efficient and successful planning of our education programs and further being a generous return to our efforts. Once again, I want to thank you for giving this opportunity to share with you my ideas, and I will speak a little in Greek. Νιώθω πολύ, πώς να το πω, ίσονος σημασίας μπροστά στους κολοσσούς των γυναικών που βλέπω δίπλα μου. Σας ευχαριστούμε την παλιότερη γενιά που κάνατε πολλαπλή προσπάθεια από εμάς. Τα οφείλουμε όλα σε εσάς. Και ελπίζω να δώσουμε τη σκητάλη στις επόμενες γενιές. Χαίρομαι να βλέπω τις επόμενες γενιές να ακολουθούν. Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Σας τα οφείλουμε όλα.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ms. Tonia Rachova, a great friend, representative of the Greek Ministry of Education in the European Commission Expert Group on the Common European Data Space for Cultural Heritage, former president of the General Council for Libraries of the Greek Minister of Education. Dear Tonia.
Dear Zephi, thank you so much. Well, I have the uneasy role to be the last before lunch, which is a little bit tricky. And the only thing that I can do is to speak very shortly after these amazing women that we have heard of. And I would like to warmly thank, first of all of them for their contribution in this panel. But, of course, my biggest thanks is to the organizers of this Women Economic Forum, to Mr. Chrysoulakis, and of course to my dear and admirable friend. We have the same name, but not the same power, because Tonia Mouropoulou is one of the most significant women, I think, in Greece, and whom of us they have followed the work that she has done, especially in Jerusalem. We are very proud of her. So I think a big applause to Tonia. And of course, it's the first, I think it's the first time, especially in the last years, that I have been in a conference with such an amazing time management. So this biggest thing, thanks, I think, to all of us. Well, I come from the humanities, but I'm living with a man who comes from NTUA, which means I am used to talk with statistics, and I'm used to love statistics myself. So I will take a couple of your minutes to talk with statistics. First of all, the last years, the percentage of women in significant leadership roles has marginally increased. Starting from 16.7 in 2015, we reached in 18.6 in 2023, with a slight drop down to 18.2 in 2023. According to the last issue of Forbes, with the top 100 CEOs in the world, unfortunately, only 9, they are women. And globally, only the 5.4% of the most well-paid, highest paid CEOs in the world, they are women. And we find the highest percentage in a European country, in Scandinavia, and this is Norway, with the percentage rising up to 13.8% of women in CEOs. Coming to politics, the picture is not really great. We have only 15 countries out of 193 countries in the UN where the percentage of in the members of cabinet of women, they are 50.3, which means that women are slightly more than men as members of the cabinet. And talking about numbers, only in 30 countries, the heads of state and the head of government, they are women. In all other countries, they are men. So what we have usually raised up to listen to, like we live in a man's world, well, this is real? Yes, but also no. Things are getting better. Why? I have heard of many significant meanings and words like stereotypes, like the women's power and the women's empowerment. I will add one more, and this is synergy. We are used to work the women individually in our sector, each one of us, in order to make progress and to struggle to make progress and to struggle to be successful. Because we have to prove that we are capable. We have to prove that we are competent. We have to prove that we are deserved to be well paid, to have leadership roles, and to be also good wives and mothers. In the UN, I think one speaker has mentioned about the sustainability goals. There are two goals that I think they are quite relevant to the topic that we are discussing on. And this is Sustainability Goal 4 and Sustainability Goal 5. And let me only just read you a very short sentence of these sustainability goals. About Sustainability Goal 4, talking about education, UN talks about the goal to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And I'm coming back to numbers. In this world that we all live, 781 million people, they are illiterate. Do you know how many women there are among them? They are more than 2/3. 489 million women in the world, they are really illiterate. So we have a duty, all of us, to struggle and to fight for equitable opportunities for all the women and all the people in order to have education and to have equal opportunities in order to be well educated and well trained. On the other hand, talking about postgraduate diplomas, except from the technical sciences, we find something that it is really remarkable. The 53.5% of postdocs, they are acquainted and achieved by women. And we must never forget that the person who first gained the Nobel Prize twice in 1903 and 1911 was Marie Curie, was not a man. And for this we should all be very proud of. Finishing my short speech, I would like to urge all of us to work together, because this is the most significant thing to do, is to unite our powers through cultural diplomacy. Mr. Christoulakis has done an amazing job in this sector, and I think this is the way to bridge the gaps, and this is the way the women to work together in order to achieve our rights in this world, which is not so beautiful, but it's also extremely remarkable. Thank you so much.
So I think we'll be on time, yes. Thank you so much, all of you, that we are here with us. I'd like especially to thank Ms. Sofianou, Ms. Arora, Ms. Dimopoulou, that is here with us. Of course, Ms. Moropoulou, that is one of women that they have given us a long, inspiring. Ms. Samoili for her support of all these things, and of course, Ms. Christoulakis, a man. And I'd like next time, because I'm sure that we will have this forum every year, this is really important to exchange our views and intercorrect the different people, different approaches. As a Secretary General for Equality, the previous one, we need to work all together. And thanks a lot, and I'd like to say that we have a lot of things to discuss. We have a lot of barriers to go on and to leave us back, but we are really strong. Women, we are really strong, and we have this magic, handsome maybe, but we are here together to go on. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Yanis, once more. Now we have the awards. We have the awards. Okay. Ωραία, bravo.
Well, all I can say is that it has been a really enlightening discussion, and we would like to thank you very much, each and every one of you. But it is now time to invite Ms. Fofi Dimopoulou, who is the president of the WEF Steering Committee and WikiGR president, as well as an entrepreneur, just to hand in the memorabilia. So each one of you, please walk downstairs. You will be receiving the memorabilia, and then we will have a family photo. Thank you. allow me to say, please stay with us because we have some really interesting panel discussions to follow. So please do get back after the break, if there's going to be, well, there won't be a break, but I'm just saying, please do stay with us. Δεν είναι δανεικό, το παίρνετε κανονικά. Ωραία. Ελάτε. Παρακαλώ εδώ μαζί σας.
Δεν είναι καλά. Ωραία. Τέλεια. Θα μαζέψετε λίγο πόδι. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
Now, I know that this is a very touching moment, and we really need to move on with the next panel discussion. But before we do that, I think it's time to break for lunch, and then we'll get back here straight after that, because there are some really interesting participants in the panel discussion. So, enjoy your lunch.